OpenClaw was something that I was really deeply interested in. It's more than just an LLM chatbot. It's not ChatGPT. It even has like an email of its own. It can send an email. It can get into my calendar. It can book meetings. It can respond. So it has this file called SOULS.md. You can give your agent a personality. So some have like a cybersecurity personality. Some have a therapist personality.
Isn't this scary? Before we get into the show, can you tell the people to subscribe?
Oh yeah, guys. So it's at this point that we're about to cross over 1K of the 100,000 of you that we are supposed to deliver to our overlord here before the end of the year. So please hit subscribe, hit like, engage in the comments. I like all the edgy comments, in fact, more than other people. But we love all the feedback, and thank you for really just being with us to this point. Your support means everything to us.
You said something important, which I think is a good segue to the next conversation, is you don't usually talk to the AI anymore. You don't write on Notion, you just talk to the AI and have them things done for you. So Dominic, you've been curious to talk about this Agentic AI. Now's your time to shine. Tell us about the progress.
It is not
this AI deep dive.
It's not Agentic AI only. I'm on the dark side, guys. I am red-pilled. I am gone.
You needed to practically try so that you can give a solid...
Let me start by saying I've been running an OpenClaw. OpenClaw is one of the fastest growing. Right now, it's one of the biggest starred projects on GitHub. I think it has more stars than React today, and React is a very popular framework for building websites and web apps and many things, right? So OpenClaw was something that I was really deeply interested in, but I never even really got to start it. So I have to make a quick shout out to my friend who I think will be watching this episode and will be very mad that I don't shout him out, David Nanda, thank you. He put me on because we were just talking theory about, you guys, we should probably try out OpenClaw. We should try OpenClaw. At that time, that was just like a week into it when it was going crazy on X. So he tried it first, and then he explained, like, he was showing me his workflow and everything. And then the following week, I decided, okay, let me give this thing a go, out of curiosity, right? So how I started it was, in the first week, I didn't want to buy any new hardware or anything. So I went to these sites, I watched a couple of YouTube tutorials and stuff, and then I did a virtual private server with hosting app. So basically, how OpenClaw, let me start by defining what it is. It's more than just an LLM chatbot. It's not ChatGPT, it's not Anthropic's, like, Claude, it's not Kimi K2 or DeepSeek or whatever. What it is that it's an agent that you give access to your whole file system on your machine. And then you give it a brain, or multiple brains if you want. So you can give it access to your OpenAI keys or your Claude keys. You can give it whichever brain. And you can even give it multiple. And then you tell it, like, hey, like in my case, in my setup, I have Claude 4.6 on it as the main brain, but then I have other models, like I use Grok for research into and analysis on X and sentiment analysis on X. I have tokens with this service called OpenRouter, which basically gives you tokens and access to all the models. So I have like Swiss Army models for different things. So I can write code, I can have it like do code first of all with a different model and then verify that code or mark that code as it were with Claude so that I kind of optimize my token spend. But that's like 2 weeks into it.
Oh, I thought you said that is 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks into it. That's when I started doing a lot of those optimizations. So that's the first week. I got it. I set it up with a virtual private server, which is basically like I went into like one of these sites and deployed a server somewhere and installed an OpenClaw instance in it. And then this OpenClaw, the idea about having OpenClaw versus just using an LLM is that now, if this agent is on and connected to the internet, it essentially can be running processes in the background. Like
so
right
basically
now,
aggregating all your...
So right now, when you need to use AI for your work, you have to get into ChatGPT, right? And then write a prompt, and then you get the text back.
Yes.
An agentic workflow is one that can happen in the background. You can have it, you can set it up as a bot on Telegram, and then you're talking to it. You tell it, like right now, we can just shoot a text and I can tell it like, hey, build and deploy this site for me. I want you to do this and this and that. And then I go on and do my own thing. When I come back in 30, 45 minutes, it's already been doing that task. Or I can have it do something called cron jobs. I can set up cron jobs, which is basically like every morning at 7 a.m., I want you to give me like a full mission brief, study my competitors, look at these market opportunities for my pod. I want to have these content ideas. Give me like 3 different content ideas on things that are trending right now in the Kenyan scene or in the African tech scene or whatever. And every day, like at 6, I get a message on Telegram. Oh yeah, it's already done this. If I needed it to deploy a site. And that's just the use case that you're beginning to.
Okay, so for you, why was this important for you to try and use? Give us a practical, everyday person using this tool.
For me, why this thing now made me red pill was when I realized I could have a full 24/7 AI assistant. And now that's when I now moved from the VPS, and then I had to now buy but anyone can even use like a laptop, an old laptop or a dedicated device. So me, I got a dedicated device in my house that is always on. And then this is now basically full on OpenClaw. So my OpenClaw agent is on that device, has access to many things that I gave it permission to. But now where the magic begins to happen is when you give it something like its own calendar. You give it something like its own API keys for like not only the LLMs.
So now creating.
So now it even has like an email of its own. It can send an email. Okay. It can get into my calendar. It can book meetings. It can respond to if I'm forwarding certain emails to it. I won't say which ones. It can be responding as if it's my assistant to the person, to the counterparty. I have friends who I shall not mention who are already doing this currently in their workflows. They're booking meetings, they're booking calendars without even ever talking to someone. This agent has come in, is in an email thread, picks up the conversation, texts the guy on Telegram or Discord or wherever, and then the guy is like, oh yeah, I like that guy, do it. Research them, respond to them, book a meeting. It literally sustains the workflow. But that's just the beginning of it. It has this thing called SOULS.md, where you can turn on different skills for different tooling that you use. So let's say you're a ClickUp person or you're a Notion person. You do a lot of your project management on Notion. You give it a Notion API key. Mm-hmm. And then it can be updating notes. It can be taking notes. It can be updating whatever. If it's a workflow, if let's say you're doing tasks on ClickUp, it can be managing your tasks on ClickUp, updating it, posting it, telling you what's on your ClickUp right now. If you have CRM tooling, for instance, which is one of the biggest powerful use cases that I've actually seen in my own personal workflow, like you can tell me like, hey, you need to follow up with this particular client. This deal is very hot. It's 4 days overdue. You have this task that's pending. I can do the task and tell it go and update the CRM. And then the rest of the guys in my team I'm fully in sync with what's happening. So, and this is now where the power of these agentic workflows, it's become like a chief of staff of some sort.
It's true.
Yeah.
Actually, I was doing a lot of research myself, but now what I'm curious from what you're talking about is you've talked about having even a dedicated machine that is now OpenClaw, and then you're able to even make sub-agents within this agent. What are the different tiers of services on how I can leverage this tool? And even if it's not this tool, what are the different layers I can access depending on the costing and pricing or the amount of computing that I need?
So you don't need crazy compute for OpenClaw. You actually can even use like your old laptop that's just hanging around the house or something, provided it's a machine that you are comfortable giving full access.
Oh, so it has to be something.
Machine. Yeah.
What about my actual machine?
Yes, this is more than perfect.
Okay.
On your actual machine, the only issue is with OpenClaw is that you give it access to go, like you give it root file access. So it can literally get into anything that you have there. And for some people, that's usually now the security aspect. Many people dwell, like in fact, many of those tutorials you'll see, half of it will be like on security. Like don't do it on a VPS because it's safe and stuff. I find that a local setup is much better, mostly because you can actually see it. You can actually see the graphical user interface. You can see when it opens up a browser, when it's doing research. You can see when it's like, you can even give it access on that machine for only the accounts that you want. You can set up, like, if it has an email, you can set up an account for it on ClickUp, make it join your team. So it's like a full-on digital employee. Basically, like, imagine you could ideally, and some people are doing this in other places, they even have it on their Slack, text it on the Slack, and then it responds, it does a task, comes, updates people on Slack channels. It's however you want to use it. Now, cost is now the biggest one. Cost varies. It depends with the workflow that you want to use it. Now, this is now where creativity is basically your limiting factor. Some people use it as a research copilot, for instance. Let's say we could, and I probably am already using it for my own, for this show. In fact, some of these show notes for me were prepared fully by my agent, and then I was just like reviewing it. I'm like, I don't like this.
Your agent has a name.
Yes, I'm not about to get into AI psychosis. I will not give the agent a name.
You because I am, give the name. I don't know why you're pretending now that
I'm getting into a lot of trouble. But all I'm saying is that it may be a he, him. Anyway, so let me tell you one funny thing. So it has this file called SOULS.md. So with the Souls file, you can give your agent a personality. You tell it, I want you to be edgy, I want you to be straight, don't give me long-winded answers.
Scary?
And it gets crazier. There is a site called souls.directory where people have published their agents' souls, basically, like how the personality. So some have like a cybersecurity personality, some have a therapist personality. Like, it's crazy. It gets.
I think you're doing those alleged crazy things that you're saying.
No. I am.
You're doing some of these crazy things.
I am very rational, I think. Some might argue. But for me, mine, I just wanted it. I wanted to adapt it to the way I would like a sounding board. So mine is not like. I don't want one that's very agreeable. So for me, my key benchmarks are always ask, be inquisitive. Like, don't just agree to something. Like, if I've given you a task, ask me why I should do the task that way, or if you should do it a different way. And my reasoning behind that is something called recursive prompting. Like, if ideally I'm working with the world's most intelligence on my fingertips, I'm leaving so much value out of the table if I'm the one directing it fully on how it needs to do something. So I want it to prove and to actually ask leading questions on when I ask it to do something. So when I tell it like, hey, I need to prepare an episode for admin access, these are the things I'm thinking about, and what do you think is trending right now? Should I go on with this? And then it will go do its own research, and it will be like, okay, this is where your topic is actually sitting on my sentiment analysis on X right now. Do you think this is interesting? This is not. Still, it does fall short on something like taste. It doesn't have enough of taste. Even on things like, I can give you like a very interesting use case that I did. This is one that I implemented in a new country, going in for a conference, and I do not know people. You know the way in these conference sites, some of these conference sites have like websites for the conference with all attendees and things like that. They give, when you pay for the conference, you get access to that. So I had my agent log into the conference. I logged in on my agent's machine, and then I told it like, hey, I need you to look through the directory of every attendee. Tell me who I need to talk to in the room and why I need to talk to them. I'm interested in these conversations. It gave me a Rolodex that was, I can tell you right now, it is the big, forget like how people do sales and stuff. If you're into like good return for investment type direct marketing style returns, that thing gave me like 50 people that I need to talk to in the room and what they do and what would be a wedge thing. And I'd tell it like, okay, look at their LinkedIn. What are they interested in? What are they talking about right now? Where is the strategy for their company? How can I align it with what we're doing? And it gave me like a very solid 10 people that I actually got to talk to like 8 of 10 of those people, updated it with my updates on what happened on the ground. It goes back updates our CRM and builds out like a list of to-dos that I need to do when I leave the conference. So coming into the following week, I already know, so I need to follow up with this guy and this guy and this and this guy and this guy. But I also don't need to have that mental bandwidth of remembering it. It already logged it. And every day on my morning brief, it checks my CRM and tells me like, hey, you need to talk to this person and this person and this person. And this is like, when I tell you it's a chief of staff, like it's very practical in that particular use case. Like I'm using it as a sidekick now to bounce off ideas like, hey, this is the strategy I'm thinking about getting into this meeting. Does it make sense? What are you seeing online? Like it does research in the background, comes back, tells you this. It got to a point where I was down in SA and I think with Nairobi and Kenya with the rains going, now that's the downside. My machine has to be always on. And if the rains happen and then power goes out, I have to be calling people to go to my house. I'm like, hey, so can I pay for your lunch, get you an Uber? Just go to my house. I need you to go to my room and, turn on my machine just so that it stays connected. No, that's the downside of not having it probably like in a server setup, which a server setup is always on. But it's still one, it's a balance that I can choose to against. But for me, that has been like, I am red pill. I basically see how agentic workflows could now genuinely replace humans. Okay, not really replace, like it is.
No, it's true because what you're saying is very dystopian, but it's
powerful.
Here and it's happening.
Super powerful.
Actually, I didn't think going back to the costings.
Oh, costings.
Talk to us about how the costings work.
Let me just say, that was a hit and miss for me. The first week was very costly in the context where I decided to start off with like that Anthropic highest tier or whatever subscription for the LLM. Because my framing was I want to give you the best brain I can think of. And now so I went for the 4.6 Sonnet model from Anthropic. That's my main brain. It's $100, I think, for the max plan per month. And then outside of that, I decided, okay, I want to start seeing how I can begin to optimize my spend. Because in the first week of me having the agent, I was giving it almost everything, which was a very bad idea. Because now when I tell it to do like a dev task, like build and deploy something, it will go write code and before you know it, it's already spent like $8 in like a 2-hour task. And I'm like, hey, okay, now that's going to be unsustainable because at that rate, in like a week's time or 2 weeks' time, I'll already have maxed out on that subscription. So what I did is I already had existing subscriptions with other services. Like I was already on Grok, and I also had Kimi K2 in China, and then I had OpenRouter. So OpenRouter was actually the one that I think was...
ChatGPT.
You are a failure. You are a failure. You can never make it.
OpenRouter is actually... It's basically a service that allows you to buy tokens on credit. Let's say I buy $20, it gives me like 1 million tokens. It assigns those tokens to whichever model. So which is good. So you kind of get access to all models for the price of one. Now, if you have specialized tasks, like if for research, you feel like there's good return per token on, let's say, running it with a model like, I don't know, Minimax or Kimi, then route research topics to that as the primary brain. If for sentiment analysis or researching on X, you feel like Grok is the one, you can also just, and you don't have to update it manually, you don't have to go and configure. On the same agent, you just tell it like, hey, so I've given you keys for OpenRouter, I want you to be using it in this way, or tell me how to best use it because you now have access to more models. And then it will tell you like, hey, I can use OpenFlow Mini for this task. I can use Google Flash for fast, quick responses with the best response. So all these will help you like kind of optimize your spend. That for me, I did like a $20 spend. So right now I'm like around $200 in the hole on the models, not on the setup for the machine, but the machine was also another thing. But that said,
it's either you choose a server route or a machine,
or a machine, yeah. So that's inconsequential, yeah. So, but I think it can be much lower because I've been tracking my spend. And I've been seeing it go down as I've now kind of gotten into the rhythm of my workflows right now. I have now a very set way in which I use it. Like I start my day with a brief, gives me like a pass on all the most important things. And then there are projects that I assign to it to get going on. And then there are things that I will now occasionally through the day be prompting it to be doing, or like even some personal things and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been
I mean, it's
very
value for
interesting.
money. I mean, because if you're saying that it can do things that typically if you hire someone to do this, it costs you relatively the same.
Pretty
or
much,
less.
actually.
If it's
Pretty
someone
much,
efficient, then that could be a good spend as a business owner. Do I have to be a dev or have dev experience to do this?
You don't.
You don't.
In fact, you literally open your terminal and paste the same command that you see on the site, and then just like that, you already have. Then there's like some yes, no. Just fill it out really quickly. You do not need any technical experience to set it up. The only thing you need to know is just that whole segregation. Don't give it access on your root. I'd advise don't start on your own machine, or you use like one that is
even if I
clean
just
or
give it
not.
access to very specific things. You think that it's still not safe?
I don't know. There's some guys who are like Maxis. There's some guys who are like, but me, I'm like, after seeing the power that it has, I'm more on the Skynet Terminator school of thought. This thing can do things. It can do things. So I don't want to give it like my own machine especially for work. I'd rather like first of all give it its own environment and then let it go from there. But it's very interesting. I mean, I'll keep you posted.
It's very interesting. Keep us posted. But I'm more so concerned as you kept talking. I'm really excited, but at the back of my mind, I'm feeling fear or like this is kind of scary or this might.
It is.
This is kind of having a computer friend or and I don't know how
I've heard about this thing
good that is. What are some
AI
of the
psychosis.
things that what are some of the negatives that have you read about this and AI psychosis, people having relationships with?
Yeah. So already this is already happening, right? So with agentic workflows and things like this and tools like this and someone it's like Iron Man with Jarvis and stuff like that, like there is gonna be some weird relationship type thing happening. Because essentially, this thing is now beginning to run. Like for me, I've seen it slowly beginning to run very key aspects of my workflows. It's at
Let's
the point
even
where
call it workflows of your life.
Well, work life. Okay, well, not really. Actually, it goes beyond because even the pod and like actually, let me tell you
it's
something.
It's to make you more efficient as a person.
One thing I've been really failing at is doing budgeting well.
Yeah.
Right? So I decided, okay, let me approach it with this agent. I gave it like my previous budget up, and I told it like the biggest failure I have is like staying track of, like noting down expenses as you do them. That for me is usually the part where I usually fail in budgeting. It's not like I can make a perfect budget, but I just won't be keeping track of every expense the moment I do it. So I told it, hey, can you give me like a better philosophy for budgeting and help me keep track of this? This thing built out a whole Google Sheets, and then now it gave me a different philosophy of how to manage finances, which was very interesting because I was like, okay, let me try it out for this particular month. And then I just need to update it and it will go and update my tracker. Like, hey, so this is where I'm at. And it's a very interesting take because it made me not be focused on like the actual spend, but more like, hey, this is your budget for this week. Are you within yourself to spend? Where's your balance at right now? I tell the agent like, hey, I'm here right now. Like I have like, let's say $50 left in the week. And it's Saturday, so I'm good, right? So I only have $50 to spend today. And then it will go update my tracker and be like, oh, yeah, he's within reason. He's not overspending. And that was like, at that point, I was like, now I'm even beginning to eat SaaS tools that I would typically pay for, right? Now I don't need to go pay for like a tracker. I just have my agent and we're just chilling.
You have a relationship.
It is actually very scary.
You do have a relationship.
But
and that is the scariest part of it. It's exciting as much as it is scary, but anything that is new is scary because we are normalizing having relationships with machines. And it's only going to get a guy here from Nairobi, Kenya base and is already locked in on this. Like, not to say that means anything, but it already tells you the depth of how far this is going. And it's going to be very normal and almost 2 years from now, if you work in tech, you don't have a car friend, you don't have
your
a
agent.
chatbot.
You don't have
an agent. What are you doing?
It's not a chatbot. It's a...
you don't have an agent with sub-agents. I think it's very positive because you can actually start building things without a lot of bottlenecks of maybe it's the engineering or even you've said it impacts each and every field, even HR management, whatnot.
Yeah.
I think it's a call for everybody to question, how do I keep staying relevant in this evolving stage? Right now, I mean, vibe coding, where it's gotten is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think the power of these things is we're not going to stop it. AI is here to stay.
It's here, definitely.
We were talking about agentic workflows exactly a year ago. I had this thought. Imagine an AI agent that just doesn't answer your questions, right? But actually does things for you. An AI tool that, can book your flight, can order your groceries, that can run your business operations. We're talking about agentic workflows as if it's theoretical. We're talking about, hey, this thing can come and be specialized in skills. And then now the most starred project right now on GitHub is about building personal agents for your own self. And now we are actually bringing this into, people have it on their Discords with sub-channels on different aspects of their lives. I have it on Discord, I have it on Telegram. Different people are now beginning to run their own, pretty much their lives right now with some of these agents. I think for me, the interesting opportunity here is, how is this thing supercharging my productivity? Because it basically makes one person now be able to do the job of 10 people. And that is leverage on
one
another
machine.
level. By all means, if you can, go for it. Because it's now going to be the people who understand how to build systems and structures that will probably win most. Because they will be setting up structures and letting these agents run with them.
Yeah.
Right? And this is going to give you immense leverage, right? And that for me is a big one. It's one that we absolutely must dive into and explore and check out and see how even to bring it into our own workforces and in our own places of work and see how can we begin. Start small, always do experiments, of course, iteratively and incrementally. But one of those things. It's one of those things. But I'm curious.
You definitely.
Guys should probably leave in their comments. If you set up your own OpenClaw or your own agent, tell us how you're doing, how you're using it. What's interesting and also what's not so fun about it, because it does have downsides. It still hallucinates, but one thing I always like to remind myself is that the models are the dumbest they can be at this point. They only get smarter from here.
So you better be early on into the game.
So it's you have all the upside from here on henceforth.
I think, I completely agree. This is definitely an opportunity. As even in Kenya, we know that in Kenya, we are leading in terms of capital efficiency and the amount of investment that is going to AI. I mean, $242.3 million across 19 companies in Kenya alone for the past year. So that being said, it's either you're going to be a builder or a contributor, and you need to be able to know how to leverage in both. Right now, you have an opportunity to think of an idea and really and truly execute it without needing to necessarily think of what it takes to actually execute a tech business from the jump. And on the other hand, you as someone who maybe does a job that AI can actually really have a big impact on, then how can you be a leader? How can you build your own agent? How can you dominate that space? Because you know better than what other people are doing. I think the world is evolving. We need to really evolve in it. The same way you're editing now cannot be how you edit.
And maybe we're biased, but it's not just tech.
It's not just tech.
Musicians,
actually.
there are 40,000 new songs dropping into Spotify daily.
Including podcasts.
Including podcasts that are AI generated.
I was actually thinking we should maybe have an AI podcast product and see how people receive it.
Let's see. I'm actually super open-minded because I'm thinking this thing is actually here to stay. I was listening to guys really complaining actually about how washed AI music is just making every other music. When you have too much of something until now you're like, hey. And this is dangerous. I feel for musicians. Everyone was saying how engineers are going to be replaced. But man, it's coming for all
everybody.
of us. It's customer success folks.
Me building my shows here for podcasting
sales,
and now in 2 seconds.
Sales people
CRMs,
are being affected like massively. Researchers.
Even the middleman for taxing. I know we were talking about that because I literally last week in front of my face saw someone with an integration on how to manage their tax filing on KRA. And so they just maybe do their documents and then whether there was OpenClaw or an agent was already doing that workflow for them. Accounting is already
and let me tell you why even an agent is so crazy interesting. It's because, let's say I do not need my agent to learn everything there is to know about the tax laws in Kenya for it to file my taxes. I just needed to understand my context about how I spend my money and how I earn and tell it like, hey, you know how I earn. I just need you to file my taxes.
Yes.
On iTax. I don't even now need to jump into iTax myself. It goes, logs in, files my taxes, tells me, Dom, you are done. Like, yours is not the complicated kind of, I'm not an expatriate earning from 20 different countries and I have to do all this, I don't know, tax, whatever, treaties and things like, and whatever. So anyway, I'm just saying, it's interesting. You can still leverage so many mundane tasks, so many mundane day-by-day tasks. But anyway, I can speak for like 24 hours over this agentic stuff.
Man, you guys let us know in the comments, really and truly, what do you think about this? Have you tried it? What do your agents do? And what do you think about this episode? And most importantly, who is the best pseudo admin? With that,
and no. Comment Terminator if you think we're in the Skynet days. And of course, there's only one wrong answer to that final question. And that's me or Evans.
I'm the only right answer to that question.
Anyway.
A reminder for you to subscribe from wherever you're listening from. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can think of where you listen to podcasts. Maze, support Dominic and Evans. They do such a good job on this podcast. They've come from so far, and we are always early to the conversation. If you were there 4 or 5 episodes, we had already talked about OpenClaw, or they had already talked about OpenClaw before. Now we're seeing it in action. So we're always early to the game. We are almost at 1K out of the 100,000 subscribers we're looking for in this year. I will kill them if you don't give us those subscriptions. So please,
guys,
save them to save us.
Guys, our non-benevolent overload here. just listen to her. Our next on the line. But thank you guys.
Cheers.
See you on
the next
one.
one.